Okay, so this chapter is all about externalities. And externalities is a very econ-specific term. And the concepts in this chapter are going to seem very common sense to you. You should be able to, after this chapter, understand a lot more about why the world works the way that it does, not just economically, but in ways beyond. We are constantly suffering externalities, and we are constantly inflicting externalities. So you're going to learn to define externality. You're going to learn why externalities always, and this is an absolute, always result in inefficiency. You're going to learn how public policy, this is generally government, aims to solve externalities, or at least reduce the impact of externalities. And you're going to learn how sometimes we as individuals can deal with externalities on our own, but why in general individualized or private solutions to externalities don't work. Most externalities are just big. Okay. Markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. Externalities would be an example of a market failure. An externality is a market failure. That's a vocabulary phrase that you're going to have to understand. If you read market failure, you should think that could be an externality. There are a lot of market failures, but an externality is a big possibility. Okay? Without market failures, we end up with an efficient market and maximization of total surplus. Okay. The externality is one type of market failure, and here's the definition. The uncompensated impact of one person's actions on the well-being of a bystander. Get that down, and then we'll break it down. Chuck, you're shaking your head. What? Oh, okay. All right. Uncompensated impact. What's that mean? So anytime I'm affected by an externality, it could be made better if I was getting paid? So I'm only suffering the effects. I'm not getting any benefit, okay? The reason I wanted to break that down is because generally you guys think compensation equals money. That's not the case. What? Right. If you are the victim of an externality, you are losing more than you are getting. There are positive externalities where you are getting more than you are losing, and there are negative externalities where you are losing more than you're getting. In the case of a positive externality, you're the beneficiary, and whoever is generating that is uncompensated. Okay? If I walk into the room and I smell so good, I am a high school freshman, and I have just finished off my can of Axe, and I smell fine. I walk into the room. You didn't pay for the can of Axe. You didn't have to spend the time spraying it on me, but you get to benefit from how fine I smell. That's a positive externality. Or if you are, in fact, a rational human being, that would be a negative externality. You are suffering. Those freshman girls have their own pretty nasty body sprays. Okay. So externalities can be positive or negative, depending upon whether the person being impacted by the externality finds it to be beneficial or not so beneficial. They find it to be, what do they use, adverse? Yeah. So if that freshman boy walks into the room and you're like, oh, that is heaven, for you it is a positive externality. If that freshman boy walks into the room and you have a scent allergy and immediately drop to the floor foaming at the mouth with a seizure, that would be a negative externality. We actually have some students with bad scent allergies. Mm-hmm. Strong odors.
Like what?
Anything. So, self-interested buyers and sellers neglect the external costs or benefits of their actions, so market outcome is not efficient. This will make more sense to you in a little bit. Okay. This is just one of the rules governing externalities. Right. We are all self-interested buyers or sellers, aren't we? I am primarily concerned about my own well-being before I think about the rest of you.
Yeah, you struggle with that, let's be honest.
Here's the sitch. You know what? I had some mighty fine chili enchiladas last night, and things are a little tight in the intestinal region. I think I'd feel better if I could deal with that, and so I fart and leave. I am self-interested. I feel better. You suffer the externality. Self-interested. You would do it too. There you go. You would do it too. Okay, yeah. You know what? If I crop dusted in the freshman hallway, it would just be drowned out by the axe. So, excellent. But if no one can smell the externality, does it still exist?
Yes.
Okay, another principle from Chapter 1. Governments can sometimes improve market outcomes. Public policy is often enacted to try and deal with these externalities. Okay. Sometimes we can improve the efficiency. We can generally not always create perfect efficiency. That's a fantasy world, but a lot of times we can improve efficiency through enacting public policy. So there is a tax now enacted on Axe body spray. Perhaps if it's more expensive, freshman boys will use less of it, and we can improve efficiency. Okay. Or we can just export all of it. All right. So some examples of actual real-world negative externalities. Air pollution. Have you ever been driving down the road behind that car where the guy really needs a tune-up and he's burning oil? Yes. That would be a negative externality. Or the guy who thinks that no muffler, or the muffler that is intentionally way, way, way louder, who goes speeding up your street at about 3 in the morning. That would be a negative externality. Yeah. It is illegal. Okay. The neighbor's barking dog set off by the guy with the obnoxious muffler at 3 in the morning. Okay.
Why are you going outside at 3 in the morning?
Oh, we have a dog door, but some people have outside dogs only. We have a cat in our neighborhood that's in heat right now, and it's somebody's cat that is one of those cats that's in, it's out, it doesn't matter. And so in this last week where it was really, really, really nice, we had our windows open 24/7, and you would hear in the middle of the night, which is apparently the cat version of hey baby, right? And then Buddy, out of a, dead dog catatonic sleep, would be, and then the cat would be like, and Buddy would finally get calmed down. Come here, here's a treat, back to bed. And you're just about, and you'd hear, This went on for like an hour and a half. I want to catch that cat, find its owners. So, yeah. When you get to college, you may experience this joy. Or some more externalities that could enter your world in college. The fact that if you are in the presence of alcohol and you are underage, you are MIP'd. Or if your roommate happens to be a drug dealer and is storing the weed in his shoes in the bottom of the closet that you share, it's your weed too, whether you knew it was there or not. These are wonderful negative externalities. Or your roommate turns out to be a real playa or slut and is constantly entertaining guests overnight in your dorm room. Negative externalities. Noise pollution from construction projects. Let's say you go to an urban university, you go to Chicago. Noise pollution from construction projects or gang shootings. Jackhammer or a gang shootout down the street sounds very similar. Yep. Secondhand smoke. I happened to be leaving early to get to an appointment the other day, and I walk out into the teaching parking lot, and there's this woman parked behind the truck. She's not going to move to let me out, even though she could pull up beside a car. You can hardly see her through the window of the car. There's 2 car seats in the back seat, toddlers in them. And the reason you could hardly see her through the car window is because the car is filled with smoke. I wanted to go over and kick out her windows and rescue the children. I felt so bad for them. Here's this plastic bag that's not a toy. Smoke. You, texting and driving, are not only putting yourself at risk, but you could kill others as well. Drunk driving falls into that category, right? You guys ever read articles or watch news stories about drunk drivers? What inevitably happens? The drunk driver walks away with hardly any injuries at all, and the other people die. Because the drunk driver's so drunk he crosses the line and he doesn't even know, and he's all loose and relaxed, and the other people who see the headlights coming at them are going, "Ah!" And they're all tense and get the full impact of everything, and the drunk driver's just like, "Bleh." I feel really sorry for Laura, who will have to listen to this. Okay. All right. So we have to go back a little bit to look at welfare economics so that we can apply the impact of externalities. Because what is this class without graphs? That's right. It's no fun. Okay. So we have the value to buyers. This is now that we are involving externalities. This demand curve is now known as private value. Those of you who are not taking notes might want to jot this down. Just a thought, because this is adding complexity. Oh, Kavanaugh has no opportunity cost today. Yeah, well, the rest of you are lucky this is an AP class, and we'll just go on and leave him behind. If it were a regular class, Kavanaugh would be inflicting his stupidity externality upon the rest of you by slowing the entire class down. Or actually not stupidity, laziness externality. Yeah. But some might argue it's stupid to be lazy. Okay. Yes. The supply curve is showing private cost. That's the cost incurred by the sellers. Okay? So private value is the value to buyers. Private cost is the cost to sellers. They are still the supply curve and the demand curve. Just when we're talking about them now, that's what they represent. That's actually what they always represent. You just didn't know it yet. How much it costs the sellers to do it. Well, no, theoretically, it's also what they sell it for. Don't overthink this yet. So still, market equilibrium maximizes producer surplus and consumer surplus. And if we can achieve market equilibrium, we have maximum efficiency because we have maximum total surplus. So we're at the same theoretical point that we've been many times before, right? We just know a lot more about it than this line is supply and this line is demand, which, by the way, is the place we were at 9 weeks ago. Think how much smarter you are already. I know it's been hard.
It's sad that I think I know more in here than I do in calculus.
No, this is maybe like everything my mom says is like
I know more in here than I do.
Because you have to tell her economically why she's wrong.
Oh, all the
and
time.
then she yells at me.
My parents both have the economy.
Okay. So supply is the private cost. The external cost is the value of the negative impact on bystanders. Just absorb. Try not to think yet. Just absorb. So the external cost of that oil polluting factory, or that air polluting factory, would be $1 per gallon. So the external cost of driving your car, we should charge you $1 more per gallon in the hopes that that would make you drive less and thus generate fewer greenhouse gases, fewer particles of smog and air pollution. Chuck. Externalities are not necessarily the reason we have inequalities in the market. No, that one I can actually answer. Okay. The social, that's just a representative example kind of number here. No, this is not, yeah. Social cost, more vocab, is private cost plus external cost. So if we add the external cost to supply, where are we going to draw a new line? Above the curve.
So the external cost will be given like in every problem.
You're thinking too far ahead. You're thinking too far ahead. Let's just master vocabulary. Then we'll apply. Okay? But we're going to stop at this point before we enter private value. Yes?
So is the
Hey.
the external cost like it goes to the suppliers? It doesn't go to like the consumers?
We'll deal with demand side of this on Monday. Yeah. All right. Have a happy Halloween.